everyone. Welcome to Cancer Update 134. Today is Sunday, the 11th of August, and I haven't done a proper update since the day after Paul's surgery. Apologies if that made anybody anxious. However, hopefully you can understand my priority needs to be with him at the moment. So thank you for your understanding. We're going okay. There's a bit of detail I'll share with you. At the moment, there's nothing really of any great concern. It's been a couple of wobbles along the way, but I think it's fair to say nothing at all that has happened so far has been as difficult or traumatic as the first time we did this exercise. So yeah, all in all, he's doing much better than the first time. So also I want to address some questions that have come up in the comments of my last post and provide a little bit more detail on those. Most of those questions are around the PCI score and what that means, and the EPIC treatment and how they're related. So I'll answer those questions, but I'll give you a quick update first. As expected, day 3, we started to see the impact of Paul not having his normal antidepressants. The impact of that is he gets pretty anxious, asks a million questions, and isn't really satisfied with the answers that he kind of wants to hear. Little things become big things, and yeah, it can escalate from there. So the medication that he's on is not his normal medication. It's an alternative that they landed on last time, which it isn't as good as his normal meds, but it takes the edge off, I suppose, and keeps him from completely dropping his bundle. So that's his mental health today is quite good. Friday and Saturday he was running a bit of a temperature, which was a little bit concerning, and because of course the temperature can be an indicator of infection, and infection is not what we want. So at this stage they've only managed to do 1 round of the EPIC chemotherapy treatment, and ultimately best case scenario would be to do 5. Last time he had 3, but definitely more than 1 would be good. The team are reluctant to introduce that chemotherapy into his abdominal cavity if there's an infection there, because obviously that's a lot of load to put on a body that's already stressed. So focus the last couple of days has been to get that temperature down, get his level of anxiety down, and just keep him comfortable. He's been doing much better other than that temperature. He's been sitting up for 2 or 3 hours every day, and that is considerably better than last time. Last time he, even after 4 weeks or however long it was that he was in the hospital, he still wasn't managing to do that. He was managing maybe an hour. So I have to say the physios have been great. They found him a more comfortable chair to sit in, which is a bit easier on his spine because he's got the ankylosing spondylitis, which makes it difficult for him to sit very upright for a long period of time. So that's all going swimmingly. We also bought his TENS machine from home, which some of you may remember. He did a few episodes on using the TENS machine for back pain. and I brought that in for him today, and that's given him a lot of relief in terms of his back pain. His lungs are good. He's using the spirometer thingy, and the volume of air he's able to get into his lungs is excellent. He's doing all the exercises that the physios are asking him to do. In terms of his lungs, there has been a development overnight. He has unfortunately developed a pulmonary embolism, as he did in his last visit. It's in exactly the same spot. He's on the blood thinners as a result of that PE, and but so far, his breathing's fine. His lung capacity is good. He's able to get up and get around. He's not really showing any of the symptoms of having that blood clot on his lung. So as long as it stays where it is, and doesn't develop any further, which it shouldn't do with those blood thinners on board, everybody's fairly happy with how that's travelling. Today he has spent several hours in his chair. His fever has not gone above, I think, 37.6 or something today, which is great. So hopefully we're hoping tomorrow he'll be able to do next round of Epic. He's pretty keen to get up, get moving, get out of there, obviously. And if he didn't have so many things attached to him, he could quite easily, I'm fairly confident he could quite easily walk up the hallway and out the door. He's doing really, really well. And I have got a little bit of footage which I'll show you at the end of this to prove he is still proof of life. Now, in terms of questions, a few people were asking what is the significance of the PCI score. So in my previous video I said his PCI score from this surgery was 39 out of 39. A PCI score is your peritoneal cancer index. And basically the definition of that is it's a scoring system. It's a diagnostic, I'm reading here, diagnostic and prognostic tool that's a sum of the scores of 13 abdominal regions. So basically they divide your abdominal region into 13 sections, and each section gets a score between 0 and 3. So the scoring is basically a 0 means there's no tumour, a 1 means tumours up to 0.5 centimetres, 2 means tumours up to 5 centimetres, and 3 means tumours greater than 5 centimetres. So the highest score you can get is 39 out of 39, which is the score he got at the beginning of both surgeries. So a higher score indicates a more widespread and or larger tumours in the peritoneal cavity. So wasn't really the news we were hoping for, and even the surgeons were surprised. Everybody was surprised by that level of disease. So hopefully that helps explain what PCI means. Now, the other question was, is the score of 39 given before or at the end of the surgery? And to answer that question, that is the score he's given at the point, at the beginning of the surgery. So at the point where they open him up and they look inside and they say, okay, here's our 13 sections, and they go through and score them each. And at the beginning of the surgery, his score is 39 out of 39. After 13 hours of operating, as one would expect, that score comes down. So by removing all of those tumours, by definition, the score comes down. They don't, as I understand it, they don't then rescore it at the end of the surgery. What they do is they give it a rating which is either a 0 or a 1. And I think, don't quote me on this, but I think the definition of a 0 is basically they've got all the disease, and a 1 means they've got all of the disease except for anything under 2.5 mil or something like that. Millimeters I'm talking here for you people in the States. So, yep, that's all I know about that. His score in that area at the end of his surgery was a 1, which means there is still disease there. What that brings me on to is the next part of that, the treatment, which is the EPIC treatment. So they've removed all of the disease that they can get to see, access, but there is some very small tumours left, and that is where the EPIC, which is chemo directly into the abdomen over a number of days, and that is the purpose of that chemo is to kill anything that's left, basically. Hi there, so welcome to the ICU. I just want to show you something really fancy. Over here, these little buttons, right? This is the window, when on the other side of the window, that's where the nurse sits. Check this out. No. Oh. Look at that. It's clear. Press it again, and it's frosted. How fancy is that?
Fancy.
So now I'd like to introduce you to my friend, His Majesty, in his... Oh, don't put your...
Yep,
it's all right.
Got enough covered.
Yep, got your modesty in place.
Yep.
In his upgraded chair to accommodate his old man back. How are you feeling today, Paul?
Feeling okay. So I've had some pluses and minuses today, and the good stuff is that I'm breathing quite freely. So if I grab this inspiration spirometer and I'll show you what I can do with this, here's what I can pretty much do with it. So that's a reasonably good intake of breath. So I'm pretty impressed with that. And the chiros have, the physios have been pretty impressed with that as well. So that's the good news. The bad news is I've actually come up positive for another pulmonary embolism, and it looks like it's exactly where the same one was the time before. The weird thing is though, this one is troubling me much less than the time before. And I think what's happening there is that, I've got really dry throat. Last time I had my full diaphragm stripped as part of the peritonectomy. This time round I only had a partial diaphragm strip. So as I understand it, they only did the part of my diaphragm that was above my stomach. So they did about that third of the diaphragm, whereas last time they did the entire 2/3. And after that, the first time round, my blood oxygen sats were down at around 92%. They were sometimes even into 90%, and they were really quite bad. This time round, I don't know, Kazi, if I have it on a screen around me, but I seem to be having oxygen sats around 95 to 98 at the moment.
So it's sitting on 97 at the moment.
Yeah, and that's a pretty typical figure, which surprises me considering I've just been told that I've got a pulmonary embolism. So the only thing that I can draw off that is that last time the stress I was having was not so much from the pulmonary embolism as it was from having my diaphragm stripped. And actually having a pulmonary embolism in some cases is actually not quite so bad. and I can still breathe on an inspiration spirometer quite well. I can stand and I can walk on the spot. I'm reasonably mobile sort of for my lung capacity at the moment, and yet I have had a PE. So I don't know the answer to that. So I'm surprised. And if you are a pulmonary embolism specialist, I would be curious to hear your words on that topic. All right, so back to you, Cassie.
All right. So I think I'd like to finish with I guess an attempt to answer some of the comments that have been directed straight at me in regards to what a sacrifice I'm making or how great a support I've been to Paul, and you know, how wonderful this thing is that I'm doing for him. And you know, someone said, Caroline, we don't get to hear about your feelings on this channel, and that's true, and that's partly because it's not my channel and it's not my story, it's Paul's story and it's Paul's channel, and I certainly don't want to hijack that. Also, I think it's worth mentioning Paul is very much in his life someone who's happy to share how he's feeling with anyone who cares to listen. That's his personality type. I'm less open to that, and certainly even with my friends I'm a bit more reserved in that area. So sharing my feelings on the internet with all of you wonderful people who are still effectively strangers to me is not something that comes naturally. But what I do want to say is the comments and the prayers and the thoughts that people have been sending through, all of you wonderful people, I've read them all and I appreciate them all, and they are received in the spirit in which I believe them to be intended, and I'm grateful for them. And so I want to say thank you to all of you who've said kind things to me, about me. It is really very nice. Doesn't do my ego any harm at all, so please continue. But jokes aside, what I do want to say is, you know, Paul and I have a very, very good friendship, and we started off in a romantic relationship, but we're not in that type of relationship anymore. This seems to be something that many people struggle to get their heads around, including many of my friends. But I think my perspective on that is, when you care about someone, you care about them, right? I'm not particularly into labels. I'm not particularly into needing to define my relationship with anyone, including Paul. And love is love, right? You love someone, and love can take many, many, many different forms. And you know, my friendship with him is like no other friendship in my life, and I have many beautiful friends, but none of them give me that one thing that he can give me in terms of friendship. So you know, it is what it is, and it's a wonderful thing, and I don't see it as a sacrifice. I see it as a privilege to be able to do something for my friend that he needs, and that I don't think anyone else can give him. So, you know, we live in a world where sometimes it feels like it's every man for himself. It's an individualist culture that we live in the Western world, you know, where we put our own needs before everybody else. But there are many cultures around the world where the opposite is true. The Indigenous cultures of Australia are collectivist cultures, where if I have something that you need, why would I not give it to you? And I think we could all take a little something from that notion that if I have something that I can give someone to make their life a little easier, why would I not? So there you go. That's a little bit of philosophy from Cassie in Sydney. Hope everyone's well. I want to do a special shout out to Sandra in Northeast Ohio. I hope you're safe and have managed to escape any damage from the tornadoes. I did read your comment and I've been thinking of you ever since. I do hope you're safe and all your loved ones are safe as well. All right, so yep, that's it from me for now. I'll update again, hopefully with some good news in the next couple of days. So stay well, be kind to each other, please, and yeah, take care. I'm just going to show you the view, which Paul's not even seeing because his bed faces the wrong way, which is really a bit of a design flaw in my opinion. I can't quite get there to move the blind, but that's the view, and looking out that way, that's Botany Bay.